Yeah, I'm György Lindwurm, working for NIPÜF ZRT, which and our brand name is INPARK, as most of you will know. We develop warehouses and also production units for large occupiers, and we also sell land if they would like to develop those real estate themselves. So we have at the moment 800 hectares of land bank in our hands, and we have 250,000 square meters of industrial units which are fully let, or actually about 10,000 square meters is still vacant, but most of those is let. We are working in the Hungarian market since 2016 actually, and I joined the company at that time in 2016. So.
Okay, great. And Zoltan, tell us a little bit about yourself and about your company. And
yeah, nice to meet you, everyone. My name is Zoltan Kemeny. I'm working for DHL Supply Chain Hungary. I'm the managing director for this entity. DHL has several entities in Hungary as well. So DHL Express, most of the cases you are meeting with the parcel shipments, but DHL Freight, DHL Global Forwarding are also the ones who are visible and here in Hungary. DHL Supply Chain, this part or this division of the company is focusing on supply chain solutions, contract logistics, fulfilment solutions, tailor-made solutions, warehousing, and some of the parts of transport, which is improving in the last years very much as well. So this is supply chain in Hungary. We are organized in the CEE level. So our cluster, or the next level cluster, is the CEE cluster, which consists Poland, Czech, Slovakia, Hungary, and now Turkey as well. And the next level is like ML sector, which is like Europe and Africa. So this is how we are organized. And yeah, this is it in a nutshell.
Okay, great. And in Hungary, especially, are you doing development as well? Because I know in some countries you're doing development of your own projects, and some you're taking space in other developers' projects. What is the situation here, or plans for the future?
We are in Hungary. We are starting that one now, and we are like Poland is very advanced on this, so they are developing some of this project itself. So DHL is doing that one. So this is why. Like, why supply chain is here? This can be a question. There are several reasons for that one. One is that if I'm checking that in the EMEA region we have like more than 500 operations, and some of them is starting from just 100,000 square meters, but biggest ones can be 100,000 square meters. So we are talking about 1 million square meters what we are operating on. And if I'm checking that what are the biggest spendings, definitely this is people and properties are the biggest ones. So definitely there are that connection point is here. So we have lots of connection with developers, and also DHL has a REST team, so real estate solution team, also in CEE, where DHL is developing, investing. And visible projects are now already, or ongoing project are in Poland, but plans in Czech, Slovakia, and Hungary already ready. So with the upcoming years, we would like to also.
So a lot going on the real estate side as well, I think. Yeah.
I can see yesterday discussions today as well that there are lots of things to learn from myself as well, who has been not this club at the moment, but some of my colleagues are experts, and also some of the MDs now, like in Poland, is really in this sector, so they know how to do what to do.
Right. Gary, thank you for joining the panel here. Tell us a little bit about yourself and any initial comments on the logistics market.
My name is Gary Morell. Most people know me here. So I write for Europa Property and edit the magazines. I cover most of Central and Eastern Europe and most sectors of the market. With logistics, obviously there's a boom in the market in Central Europe. Developers are developing, even on a speculative basis. In Hungary, there's various aspects or developments in the market. One is that a market is developing outside of Budapest, outside of Greater Budapest, outside of the ring road and the area around the airport.
Yeah, it's we are not speculative developers, and unfortunately there are no such competitors in the panel. But
We invited them to be on the panel. But, okay.
so we are BTS build-to-suit developers, but we are very active in secondary cities. We only have 2 locations around Budapest. But we have some 15 locations throughout Hungary, in main cities and next to motorways, of course. And I can say that so actually most of our developments are in secondary cities, in large cities throughout Hungary. Well, we can see that there are not too many competitors in those locations. So maybe you can see CTP, Info Group, and maybe some more local developers like Xanga in Debrecen and
I mean, I always get the impression that INPARKs are doing a lot more industrial, really manufacturing, where you get, of course CTP is and the other ones are too, but it's more logistics, and where I kind of, really see your company more as, if someone's coming in for aerospace or something like this, you're the guys that seem to be getting a lot of this business, yeah? Yeah,
it's we have very little logistics or real logistics properties. We are mostly doing above standard buildings. However, we take care that okay, in case the tenant will leave, then we could convert those properties into standard logistics. But as I said, we are BTS developers, and most of the time the above standard development cost could be even 50% of the standard development cost. Mm-hmm. And that's why there is a large portion of the rent as well, which is an extra tenant improvement rent part.
Sure.
The argument from developers was that in the regions, companies tend to build their own facilities, owner-occupied facilities. Now, your company was set up to provide developer-led facilities. So how are you funded, and how does your strategy work in finding clients?
Yeah, we do both actually. So we also sold 250 hectares of land in the past 6 years. So you can see that there are tenants or occupiers who love to develop themselves. But it seems that this year, for example, we received a lot of interest from our clients who in the past wanted to buy land from us, and this year they came back and they said that, okay, why don't we develop for them a warehouse or a production unit. So it seems that some of the clients are coming back to rent instead of buying land.
So you think that's just to save on cash flow, or
maybe that's the save on initial risk, cash flow, and pay it in rents. Of course, that's at the end it is more expensive maybe, but still in terms of cash flow it will be a healthier for the client.
And also cutting their risk on development, I would imagine.
That's right.
I mean, I guess that's the big issue now is what is it really going to cost you by the time you get done building it? Yeah?
Exactly. And this kind of risk mitigation is definitely coming out as from the EHL perspective as well. And sometimes behind of these decisions, we should see that what are the contracts, what you can get. Yeah, if it's like only 3 years, then basically you are not able to start a project. And maybe in this case, like INPARK can help on that one, or other developers. Yeah, but yeah, that's sometimes the reason behind of that one. And these years we are seeing that one more and more coming, that we do not have 5 and 10 years deals. Yeah, we are starting with 3, and after that one we in the position that we are like continuing those contracts like 2, 3, 4 times. But in the beginning it was like not visible, or it was not so perfect or sure.
So do you, I mean, you're doing shorter contracts because you think, hey, we might move from this location to another location, or are you jumping around more, or is it just?
Sometimes, yeah, we have like very short opportunities. And of course, as it's coming shorter and shorter, we can have 1 year or half year contracts as well, but that's of course not what we like as well, but we are, in this case, we are pricing it up. And we are playing that one. Yeah, we are trying to put more and more in, and definitely in this case the rental prices are increasing. Sometimes we are able to provide this kind of solution, but like in the EHL, we are trying to do back-to-back businesses, definitely.
Because moving is also pretty expensive.
Moving is very expensive, and it's risky. Risky because of the usually these operations are running. And the volumes are increasing, and basically you have to run, or you have to do some movements during operations, which is like quite risky.
Yeah, I mean a 2 or 3 day delay in or a slowdown, or weeks slowdown in getting things moved to the new location.
Exactly, and one of the success factors is usually the people there, and if you need to move that one more than 15-20 kilometers, then it's immediately that can be a problem. Yeah, that you are not able to move your people, and that's the biggest asset there. By the way, even you have the best processes, you should train them. You should be careful that what you are doing, and therefore a move can be risky on that sense. So it's a project. It has to be really carefully planned and exercised.
Yeah, no, I would imagine with both of your companies, HR is a big issue, right? If you're moving 20 kilometers away, you know, it seems like you lose half the staff because they don't even want to go across the street in some cases. Yeah.
Currently, yes, this is the case. So it's the willingness of move is like declining. Like it's not like 10 or 15 years ago. It's even for plus 10 minutes. Commuting, it's something that that the people are making.
Yeah, but you have a lot of people basically. Well, we are a small company actually in terms of people, because there are 30 people working in the office only. So
yeah, but your clients probably are worried more about HR.
Yeah. But still, it's very hard to get good people actually, because everyone is occupied at our competitors, for example, and
right, they're all busy at home, working from home.
Working from home, or yeah.
How do you actually attract staff, given that it's not a very fashionable industry, or parents want their children to be lawyers and so on. So how do you go about attracting?
Yeah, sometimes the brand is helping a lot on that one, so they get a employer which is stable, so that's important. Sometimes stable and have high quality standards in our warehouses, so and in our operations, and we have established in the CE region a resourcing center, by the way, because we have seen that some of the years as Poland, Czech was booming very much, we had to hire in a year close to 5,000 people, so it means that we had to have a kind of really specialized team for that one, experts who knows what to do, how to do that kind of recruitment work, how to do the marketing around, and how to really put that one into the market, and how to do the interviews, how to make the process from the persons are arriving and really going to the operations and how to retain them, not to lose them. Yeah, so it looks like that's a profession now, and it's, of course, it was before that one, labor renting companies doing that part, but it looks like that as we have these unemployment rates, we should have developed our own professional team for that one to drive this, and that's success. So that was successful, and it's visible that the team is now working for not only Poland and Czech, but for Hungary as well. So whenever we are starting an operation, they are involved, and they are mapping up the market. They are doing nowadays even quarterly checkings are needed in terms of salary, in terms of unemployment rates. So it's an intense work, and it's quite an interesting thing, but you have to see that this is like it's a profession.
Yeah. So logistics really HR. It's an HR challenge every day, I guess. You know. And so György, on are you seeing, since COVID and since all of this has hit, are you seeing more of an influx of manufacturing companies that are manufacturers that were just using Asia as let's say single source and supply chain? Are you seeing them more and more setting up in Hungary, or in Hungary for sure? And if so, what is the time frame of these sort of projects?
Yes, well, this year we have seen a lot of companies coming to us and asking for quotes. Who were not here in Hungary before. So yes, it seems that, strange enough, actually this year we haven't signed any new lease agreements, but we are in the process of signing new lease agreements at the moment. But this year was a bit strange actually, in terms of, because there were many quotations. We gave many quotations, but it seems that the projects were, I mean, the negotiations and everything were so long that actually we are now at the time of being ready to sign those agreements. Even it could be lease agreements or land sales agreements as well. So
is it really just because of the unstable, let's say, environment? I mean, of the whole region, not just Hungary, but
yeah. So it seems that the clients were just thinking and remodeling and rethinking what they would like to do, and we couldn't come to a signature. Yeah, but it seems that next year will be a more interesting one, in terms of this year was a challenging one, and next year will be.
The dust is settling, and they can at least agree on something.
And now we can start construction and or start selling the land. Because this year we are completing some 150,000 square meters of industrial buildings. So those, actually we are completing those buildings now. That, of course, that these were signed, the year before. Yeah. So
still busy though. You're still busy getting them done. Yeah. Okay.
How are your developments funded, and how were you both impacted by the pandemic? How did you get through that?
I haven't said we are a state-owned developer. So actually we have a quite strong financial background, and we have billions of forints on our account at the moment as well. So actually we, in terms of equity, we were okay. But as I said, we are state-owned developers, but we have to act basically, or we have to have business plans, a profit-based company. So we need to have business plans based on profit. And we also have to take bank loans, minimum 51% of bank loan. So we are basically acting as a normal market player and a market developer. So we put 30 or 40% of equity in our projects, and it seems that banks were quite happy to finance those projects. As we are a BTS developer, lease agreements are long. So usually we sign 15 and 20-year leases. We also have one in 24-year lease in our portfolio.
24.
Yeah, 24.
Okay.
24.
Yeah.
So banks are more than happy to finance us, and so it seems that we are quite okay in terms of financing and equity.
Your specific aim was to provide logistics facilities in areas where there were no logistics facilities or light
Or
industrial
yeah.
facilities. Now Hello Parks seem to be developing or have the aim of developing in the regions, and CTP have got projects across Hungary now. Are they competitors to you, or how do you see that?
Yes, it's maybe in the future they will be a strong competitor. However, I think that they will be focusing more on logistics, so standard logistics, and we are quite more than ready to develop above standard industrial buildings as well. So that's a different. I think it will be a different market in the future as well, and we can in the future we can help Hungarian and international companies to settle down in Hungary.
But that's beneficial to Hungary in that it's a very capital-centric country. So projects like your own, or anything that develops in eastern Hungary, in southern Hungary, is advantageous to the economy in terms of employment and in terms of creating wealth outside of the capital.
It helps also for logistic companies like DHL as well, because it was very much Budapest centric.
Mm-hmm.
But now, as like INPARK is investing in Gyula or other countryside cities, then at least there is something that what we can accommodate, yeah, because it was not the case like 10 years ago, and investors was very much focusing that one into Budapest, because it was from logistically it was the obvious choice. Of course, you can basically reach everything within 2 hours, and they have just put it there, and after as most of the consumption is happening there, it was like the obvious choice. But there are lots of other things are happening in those cities, like Debrecen, like Győr, like Pécs, and like Gyula. And as it's also triggered most of these cases for sure from the availability of people, and I think it was more that was the advantage of those cities,
More local business and more B2B local business, and I imagine all these BTS locations, they need someone to come pick up the end products,
Exactly, and if it's like the logistic cost of that one or transportation cost of that one is not so significant, then in this case it's a good choice. If you are just putting 100 kilometers away from Budapest, it's obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have specific client requirements, not to be in Budapest, but to be in the center of Hungary, for example. So in near Dunaúj város or other cities, or even we are not present in Kecskemét, but maybe in Szolnok, for example. So there are locations in Hungary which will come to the focus of clients in the future.
So for manufacturers, what would you say is like the first sort of first, second, third, let's say, hot locations to set up where they can, they're either getting some tax breaks or sale or price on the land, or the HR works out well for them? Where sort of fits into that now?
Well, actually, there are most of the cities in the countryside are like that.
Okay.
So I can even it's basically the same cities in Debrecen or even Nyíregyháza, or we are present in Nagykanizsa where we have inquiries. In Pécs, in Dunaújváros, in Szexárd.
So still a lot of good locations with
yes,
HR.
those are
and,
those are very very good locations.
It's in Hungary the term countryside. Countryside in English is a green area. Miskolc or Debrecen are not the countryside in that sense.
That's right.
More industrial, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it was green like 1,000 years ago, yeah, but now.
In England, you wouldn't call Newcastle the countryside or Birmingham the countryside.
Actually, hopefully, with that we will help Hungary and our clients who settle down in Hungary. We will help the structure of the city structure of the country to develop a more healthy structure, like let's say Poland. So it would be a great thing to develop in that direction.
Yeah, and like the motorways are like reaching those towns now, yeah, or cities. It's easy to travel.
Yeah, always
by the
good
way.
to give
So
them
it's-
jobs. Yeah,
Yeah. So it's getting better and better.
Debrecen is being promoted as the second city now, isn't it? So you have Budapest in the centre and Debrecen in the Far East. What is always apparent is that there's regional logistics markets in Poland, in Czech, even in Slovakia, and in Romania. There's an emerging logistics market in the east, in Transylvania. Even in Serbia, where the logistics market is relatively new, there's parks in Novi Sad as well as in Belgrade, and I think there's one in the south. If somebody from Serbia could correct me, Niš, is it Niš? Niš. Yeah, I said that right. There's logistics parks developing there now, isn't there? If I've been told correctly.
Yeah. And also, if
There's
there's
definitely
any,
a CTP park in Novi Sad, isn't there? Sorry, Greg.
yeah. So also, if there's any comments from the audience or any questions, just jump in any time. We've got small group here, so always happy to take any things. Yeah, I just thought I'd jump over to Dennis. Tell us a little bit, if you don't mind. We need a microphone over here. Over here for a second, because I know you're doing a lot in Croatia, and you've got quite a few projects on the go. Maybe we can give us a little rundown of how you see the market and what kind of. We'll just give one of. We have a few microphones, but I think okay. Anyway, okay, and take Gary's. That's better. Take Gary's.
I'm the least important person.
Yeah. And give that to Dennis over there. No, sorry, that one to Dennis. There you go. Right behind you. Okay. So, not only the projects, but how do you see them? How do you see, Croatia, it wasn't that long ago where they're like, oh, the only thing to do is build a hotel and a spa. And that whole kind of idea is not that hotels and spas aren't doing well, but there's more opportunities there on the logistics side, it seems, these days.
Yes, thank you. If you don't mind, I will keep sitting. I feel like I'm singing when I'm standing. So
it's karaoke later at the end.
yeah, great. And Craig, you forgot to say shopping centers.
Oh, yes, I did forget.
In the past, everybody was building at first shopping centers and then hotels, and actually Croatia was neglected in light industrial and logistic development for years due to the market size. It's quite small, due to the vicinity to Austria, which is always been very ownership centric. And just in the last few years with COVID, a lot of things started changing with nearshoring coming more to the doors of Europe. The international freight forwarding, focusing more on Mediterranean, and the Greece ports more and more controlled and dominated by Chinese companies. So actually Adriatic Mediterranean is developing quite well over the last 3 years, with Trieste Copper establishing quite well, Rijeka developing in the next 2 years massively with Maersk. perhaps many of you know, perhaps many of you do not know, Maersk has got a concession on half of the port of Rijeka. It's going to be the second largest operation of Maersk in Europe after Rotterdam, and it would be starting operations in 24. And a further harbor infrastructure in Croatia, which is complementing with Zadar, Split, and Ploče. And actually, the modernization of the railway with the EU funds, it's actually the only really meaningful EU subsidized project Croatia is going in. For years, we were taking European money for small projects, a lot of small projects, spraying them around. And now the only really meaningful and strategic development with the railway modernization between Rijeka and Zagreb as a general hub, which is also going to complement the Hungarian locations, because the Hungary is going to have the second direct connection to Mediterranean, as of to the connection to Port of Koper and Port of Trieste. And we, out of our historic developments, we have a land bank in Croatia. And Croatia was, a colleague before just said that Croatia in the past was very inside business oriented, but not that much. It was very Austrian oriented. A lot of Austrians investing in Croatia, so a little of larger internationals. And the market as it is, due to the market size, didn't have much international institutional investors, because you don't get Croatian operation if you're going to invest in a portfolio ticket of 80 to 100 million euros. It's too small. So all that is the reasoning why in Croatia, in the past, a little of logistic, a light industrial has been built, because there was no investor demand. And in the last, I would say 6 to 8 months, a user demand is developing rapidly. So at the present moment, we are actually, and we are very specific, as we are part of ATP Group, which is the largest European planning office. We plan and build a lot of logistic properties all around the markets. And we now see in Croatia a high demand for above standards. So what we are now doing, we are developing light industrial, and actually for the above standard users. Then we have a lot of discussions when we start to discuss with institutional investors, because our policy is we are family office financed, we are family office driven. So we are a developer, we have a developed land bank, and we are developing, planning, and constructing, but we have a short exit strategy. And when we start to discuss with institutionals, then they start discussing about the rent. And institutionals start, yeah, but you know, a rent of 7.5 or 8 euro for light industrial, and it takes them a lot of time to understand that light industrial is to 80% above standards. And also due to the market size, the rent prices for classical logistics in Croatia are pretty high. And you can still achieve high prices, and you're going to be able to achieve it, because in Croatia there are not that many locations at the present moment that are ready to be built. We have the luck that our land bank on 2 locations, one in outskirts of Zagreb, the other one in Karlovac, we have a fully developed infrastructure on the single land plots. So actually when a client comes to us, we can deliver planning in 2 to 6 months with permits in place and start the construction. And in the last years, we saw also that the construction is changing. And Croatia is a small market, so we don't have many international construction companies. Strabag being present in Croatia only as a construction management. There is no Goldback, which you know, all of you who are building in Poland with their superb products. So we developed our own product of design and construction management, where we act as a total contractor from one single point, being able to construct in very condensed time scale. And time is an issue. If you are talking with DHL, DB Schenker, you cannot talk with them, oh, we could deliver end of quarter 1 24 or between the quarter 4 25. They need
You've already changed over a few things by then, right?
Yeah.
So it's got to be a little quicker, I would imagine.
And
Yeah, but it's very true. Yeah,
22,
it's
22.
It's very true.
And at the present moment, there are a lot of developments in Central Europe that are being influenced by the bureaucratic and administrative burdens in Germany, in Austria, if you want to build bigger logistic or light industrial, it's getting harder and harder to get permits, where Southern Eastern Europe has the perspective that the permitting procedures are more secure, that you're more sure that you will get the permit and you will construct that. And we actually utilized the favor that we in Croatia hold the land bank which is able to build. So we in 6 months actually achieved to rent out the first 70,000 square meters of properties and to above standard prices, establishing quite stable yields. And we believe that that trend on Croatian market is going to accelerate next year with discussions we are having in the present days. And I think the whole of the region, Croatia, partially Slovenia, Hungary, it's going to be an alternative hub to Polish market because there are different light industrial users, logistic users, which are more oriented to the northern part of Europe, and the others who are more oriented to the centric part of Europe. And actually Croatia and Hungary are very favorable destinations for a centric part of Europe. If you have an operation in Bavaria, it's feasible that you enlarge your operations in the centric part of Europe if you are not able to build in Bavaria, and it will cost you 3 times more to buy land there with no certainty when you will be able and if you will be able to build, then you are thinking about alternatives. And Croatia is establishing itself quite well. Slovenia, bit, because Slovenia has its own restrictions, and Hungary, I see, is developing very well.
Right, and I guess also in Croatia, it's just a little bit easier to get a building permit than Germany.
Yeah, but I had this discussion a few weeks ago. We have one governmental panel, and they invite us over the time, the developers and the finance guys from Croatia. And we were discussing directly with the Prime Minister. We told him, but we need you, as a government, to address the international community, the financial communities, to say that in Croatia the planning security is very high. We don't have in Croatia, actually in most of the Eastern Europe, there is little to none influence of the third party in the permitting procedures. Whereas in Germany, we are very active there, we have almost every project with long discussions, where you have a local NGOs coming with counting the trucks, counting the parking places, issuing preconditions, issuing amendments, and the project scaled down. We know projects that started with 85,000 square meters that over 1 year have been scaled down to 20 and then stopped because it was not feasible anymore.
A lot in Germany and Austria as well, scaling back, right? Because the communities
It's the trend now in Germany and Austria. I know an industrial investor in Austria that bought the land, 80,000 square meters of land beside his own factory to enlarge the factory. He paid 230 euro for that. And in under a year, it happened that a local initiative changed the zoning back to the agricultural land.
And I guess, thank you for that. And I guess, George, that actually helps you guys out here a little bit, right? In the discussion of, the whole development discussion.
Actually, this year we could see scaling up of requirements here in Hungary. So we started negotiations with 20,000 square meters of light industrial space, and then
no one's scaling down. The government's not scaling down, and
it's 3 months have passed with the negotiations, and then the client came back with, okay, it will be then 40,000 square meters and 2 meter higher building, and a little bit of warehousing as well next to the production area, and so.
Sure, and Zoltan, I guess you're dealing, if you're looking at things in Western Europe, you just don't even want to take the risk of the local community saying, we don't want 100,000 square meters there or something.
No. And some of the places, like in the Netherlands, you even not find any available place or plot or warehouse. So it's very hard. So we have Project Lights, which is initiated by that fact that it's better to now move half of the operation or some of the operation to Hungary or to this region, exactly to that one, to have the second leg. start here the operation, and all the time the question is that what is the future scalability, upside possibility of that project. So this is really what we are facing within in Hungary. So it's we have an initial size, and we should be reminded that can be increased in the upcoming years.
So in Western Europe, is it just like sort of hold on to what we've got? Let's hope they don't change the not permitting, but hopefully they don't change the zoning, and let's just expand in Central Eastern Europe because we know should be okay. Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
Can we say, excuse me? Can we say that a speculative industrial market is developing in Serbia and Croatia? Or is it only built to suit currently, or how does that work?
I could say, from my point of view, we are very Central European driven. So in Central Europe, it's common that you have speculative logistic development, but Croatia is still more BTS developments because of the user demands and the focus that the first users are the big users. And we see the big advantage when you hold the land banks to be able to allow scalability of the projects. Because as you also said, the tenants want the ability to grow without the risk having another burden of moving out and relocating. And therefore, I think the speculative development could be partially driven with the scalability that you do construct bigger, and they use the additional speculative space for the scalability of the tenant. But then again, you will then have short contracts for the additional surface. So mostly it is building stage by stage with the scalability proposals. And I don't see that much speculative development in Croatia. For Serbia, with what we see the VGP and CTP are doing, there's a bit speculative. But we don't see also there a big speculative development.
Thanks. And Brian, you had a comment on that as well. Will you bring the microphone over here? Thanks. Yeah, there we go. Thank you.
Hi. Yes, I would say no, there's not a lot of speculative building in Belgrade. I just finished selling 30 hectares of land to one of the biggest logistics developers in the region, just yesterday, basically. And
yesterday, okay.
Yes.
Can you say who?
It's pretty fresh news. Well done.
It's pretty fresh news.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell us who?
One of the largest logistics developers in the region.
Okay. Yeah.
Exactly.
If I mention them all, can you say yes or no?
Yeah. So they're obviously they're not building speculatively, but they're certainly land banking, and they understand the strength of the region. Obviously, Belgrade's quite central, and
sure.
And Croatia has the real advantage of the sea access. So I think they understand that there's real potential there, but it's not going to be speculative, especially with the, let's say, economic situation going on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And when we talk to CTP and those kind of companies in Serbia, they're just too busy building for the clients already. It doesn't seem like they've got much capacity to just build speculatively anyway. They're full out busy doing
that's true.
Doing what they're paid for already. So
well, they have tenants all over the region, so they don't need to build speculatively. They already have tenants lined up, and they're just building
for them.
Yeah,
great. All right, well, we're getting close to the end of our panel here, so we do have lunch probably waiting, or should be, so we will just wrap up the panel with a few final comments. Gary, we'll start with you. Any last pearl of wisdom or angle you want to...
Questions. The industrial market boom, how long will it last? If Hello Parks are building 100,000 square meters, which Rudolph said last night that had let speculatively over a matter of a few months, CTP are building everywhere. Miskolc, Tatabánya.
30 more
different
seconds.
places.
30 more seconds for this final comment.
How long will it last? Is there enough customers? Secondly, will and how sustainable will the buildings be, and are the developers keeping up with regulations such as internal well-being, facilities, and so on? That's 2 questions.
Okay.
Well, actually, for us, the last 5 years were a booming period as well. So it's actually, for us, it has been and is still booming, and it will be, I guess, in the next 5 years even. But I can see vacancy rates next to Budapest were down to around 3%, and now it's getting closer to maybe 4 or 5% now. So, but still, there is a lot of space to develop there in the next even 5 years. And in terms of sustainability, we were always very keen on building sustainable buildings in terms of the insulation and the LED lighting, and so all the green issues have been covered in our buildings. So I'm sure that we put a lot of actually concrete into our buildings to protect it, and a lot of steel things to protect the buildings from our clients, actually.
From your clients, okay. From the renters,
from the forklifts and such things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they run into the building. With the
yeah,
forklift,
that's right. So and we have heat pumps, etc., etc. So I hope those will be sustainable, and I'm looking forward to the decreasing construction cost, as Csaba Zalei said in the last panel.
He said it was coming down.
So we cannot see it actually at the moment, but it may be a different issue for us, being a state-owned company. But I don't know. But hopefully, next year it will be different.
Well, the voters are probably happy when you're showing a profit as opposed to showing a loss, I would imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, let me comment quickly this second part of your question, that it's like corporate direction that it should be carbon neutral totally, and that was, of course, it was due to environment reasons, but now it's very much due to economic reasons. Yeah, it's like the increasing energy prices, gas prices. Basically, it's better not to have gas in the facility, just electricity, and that has to be like fueled by solar panels as much as you can. So that will be a definitely, as DHL, we are only signing this type of project. Yeah.
Right. Because you're always carbon neutral, or trying to get everything new carbon neutral. Yeah?
Exactly, and you can imagine that it's something what you can reach quite, let me say, easily in terms of buildings. But if we are going into the transportation, it's getting more and more challenging. Of course, this is coming, and that's like in the road freight or transportation. This is something which is just starting, and in this case, it has to be those warehouses should be equipped with chargers. So that's something which is totally coming into the picture now. So it has to have the capability, which has not the case before. So like the grids has to be capable to do so, yeah. And after that one, you can imagine how challenging is that one. It like with an air freight, yeah. So it's something which is the future.
Truly is a supply chain issue, right?
Exactly.
We have the chargers. Where does that energy generated from, and on and on. Yeah?
Exactly.
And but you guys regionally have a lot of electric vehicles, right? Electric delivery vans already, and building that.
Yeah, it started with the express and parcel, the smaller vans, and that's due because those vans are capable to make 400 kilometers per day. So it's something that you can start with, and in some of the places in like capitals in Europe, some of the zones you are not able to enter now. So some of the legislations are changing. You are not able to enter with diesel cars. Now it's the next step is about the trucks. We have in the region, we are now signing for specific customers, and we have project like this. And also multimodal is coming back to the picture now, so it's like really moving on trains. Some
And
of
the
this
really
stuff.
big trucks are getting there. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, now
technology is coming.
It's now is the capability is 200 kilometers per day, which you can count that it's basically not that much what we need, because an average truck should run in a month 9,000 kilometers to be productive, and now I'm counting 200 times 21, it's just half. So, but we are getting there. We are getting there slowly but surely, and that's after that. That segment of logistics can be totally carbon neutral, and that's let's see what we can do with the air.
Right. With a few years ago it was 0. Now it's 200.
Yeah, exactly.
So great. Well, thank you all for being on the panel, and thank you for your time. Could we have a please round of applause for our panelists? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We appreciate all of your time in participating. We have lunch outside, so please join us for lunch. And if you need any more tickets or anything for our gala tonight, please let me know, or Winston or one of our team, and we will help you get them organized. So enjoy the rest of the day. If not, we'll see you tonight at 6:30.